Okay, so where do we find valley fever? Well, predominantly it's going to be found in the central part of California, some areas of Arizona, Nevada. It is also found, but generally it's kind of on the western side of the United States. And if you're not in California and you want to find out if you are in an area that has valley fever fungus in the soil, you can certainly look at one of the interactive maps. We'll include it in the comments below so that you can see those. But I want to go over, especially for those folks that are taking this training in California, if you're one of them, the areas that this is most present in. And this is called an endemic rate. So this is 20 people per 100,000 may contract valley fever or be exposed to valley fever, in the sense that they've gotten it in their lungs and they've developed this potential valley fever illness. And the areas that we're most likely to see this endemic, not a pandemic, but an endemic, it's that rate of 20 per 100,000, is in Fresno, Kern, Kings, Madera, Merced, Monterey, San Luis Obispo, San Joaquin, Santa Barbara, Tulare, and Ventura. So those are the areas where we have a presence, a known presence of valley fever. So if you're traveling through these areas, if you are working in these areas, you are more likely to be exposed to and potentially develop valley fever. For those of us who grew up in these areas, our bodies have kind of learned to work with this particular fungus. It's kind of built up a little bit of an immunity as we grew up as children and worked and lived in these areas. So for us, we're not as susceptible to it as someone that is an adult and coming into this area for the first time. But again, just remember that valley fever can be found generally in the western portions of the United States, and it's generally in Nevada, Arizona, and California. But we've seen a lot of incidents here in California, and so in California, we now have AB 203, which requires this training once every year. So if you're in California, we gotta pay attention to these areas. So let's take a look at how valley fever gets into the air.